What's going on, guys? So today we are looking at a classic staple of the EDC knife community, kind of a classic budget EDC knife, the Spyderco Tenacious. Yeah, you are probably familiar with these if you are familiar with knives. So we're going to talk about my thoughts. We're going to talk about what I like, what I dislike, something unique. But first I want to remind you to like and subscribe. We're going to have a giveaway coming out soon, and you'll figure out what knife that is going to be here soon, but make sure you're keeping up with the content to see what that giveaway is going to be. But let's look at the Spyderco Tenacious. So we are looking at just under a 3.5 inch blade, I believe 3.3 of 8CR13 MOV. This is Chinese produced. G10 handles, as you can see, with liners, and let's see if we can get that in there. Can you see that? These are skeletonized quite nicely, I believe. This is an open construction as well, and it's a liner lock. As you can see, it doesn't have a thumb stud because it's a Spyderco. It has the Spidey hole, so it is full flat ground, obviously. And there's a nice touch of detail where that grinding comes up right here, and it kind of goes past this pivot point to keep the material cutting away from that. Well, let's get into that here in a second. So what do I like about the Spyderco Tenacious? It's just a great design, right? This is a classic design. It's well designed. It has. So what I love about it particularly is this blade. This is a very neutral drop point leaf shaped blade, and it being full flat ground, it just slices so beautifully, and there's no material, no thumb stud to get in the way of your slicing path. So it's very well designed, and the handle is very well designed as well. This is kind of a stubby looking knife, I guess you could say, but it still fits my hand. You know, I don't have much room, but I have just enough. You guys know I have kind of thick fat fingers, so I have just enough room. So I think the overall design of just about everything on this knife is nice. It's a good, neutral, usable knife. Another thing I like about this is I think that the texturing on this handle, on this G10, is just about perfect. It's not crazy super textured, but it's also not, super slick like carbon fiber might be. So I think that along with the jimping you're kind of getting and this liner lock and the jimping you're getting on top really makes for a really tractionable knife that just you hold in your hand and it's not going anywhere, but it's also not going to really tear up your pockets under that pocket clip. So I think that's fantastic. Another thing I like about this is I just think that it's pretty nicely smooth out of the box, especially for it being produced in China. Actually, they have a lot of good stuff coming out of there, a lot of good actions coming out of there. So I think that this is just smooth coming out of the box, and that's nice for a knife you're going to spend about 55 bucks on. That's nice to have. So I think that overall the design is nice. I like the blade, I like the handle. And another thing I really think that is good about this is you're getting very good design. A lot of Spydercos are expensive, but this is not a super expensive knife. So you're getting a designer, a Spyderco, which makes really, really high quality stuff for a cheaper price, and I think that's pretty cool. It's not their bird line, which there's some good stuff, there's some bad stuff in that bird line, but it's not in their bird line. It's a full-on Spyderco, and you're getting some good solid design out of that. So is there anything neutral I have? Yeah, neutral point is that 8CR13 MOV. It's okay steel. It's not bad. It's not good. It's fine. For everyday use, is it going to be fine? Sure. It's going to be fine. It's going to work just fine. It's going to be okay. And so I'm okay with it. Would I prefer to have better steel, especially at that price point? Yeah, definitely. Way rather have better steel. I think that what you're paying for it's a little bit overpriced, but like we talked about, you're kind of paying for design, not super high quality materials. Though you are getting G10 and in nice skeletonized liners. But that 8CR is kind of a neutral point. It's what I don't mind, as I kind of call it in my reviews. So what don't I like? There's some QC issues with the Tenaciouses, and I think that some of you guys may have experienced with this in the Tenacious line. They have the Tenacious, they have the Persistence, and the Resilience. Persistence is a little smaller, the Resilience is a little bit bigger. And one of the biggest issues I've seen with QC is that centering. That centering's just not on. And it's not the end of the world, especially because you have a thinner blade right here. But, if I was a left-hander and I was opening it from this side, that would start to rub on those scales. You can kind of hear that as I deployed it. So since I'm a right-hander, it's not as much of an issue, just based on where it's centered and where it isn't. But if I wasn't, this would be an absolute return. because you just can't have those scales, that blade rubbing against those scales. Another couple things I've had issues with the various, I've had a resilience, persistence, and a tenacious at different times, is some of the screws, the threads, as you're disassembling it, they just don't seem to quite fit right. Either there's a threading that's off, someone put too much Loctite in there, whatever happened. It's just the screws aren't, they're not always set up correctly. So QC issues is really, I think, the biggest thing that I would say I have issues with these particular Spydercos. Everything else I think is fantastic. Overall, I absolutely recommend this blade, especially for the design and price. If you love the Spyderco design, the full flat grinds that they have, they don't have full flat grinds on all their knives, but on a lot of them they do. That spider hole deployment, just that traction that you feel when you grip it in your hand. If you like all those things, pick your size. Your persistence if you want a smaller blade, tenacious if you want that mid-sized blade, and that resilience if you like the bigger blade. So pick your size, and I don't think you can go wrong with them, even with those QC issues. What I would recommend is if you can go to a spot that carries them in store. I know even Walmart here in the United States was carrying them for a while. Go to a spot, get your hands on one, take it out of the box, make sure the centering looks, it doesn't have to be perfect, but this is relatively bad. Make sure the centering's okay, and make sure, everything feels right. Then I absolutely recommend them. They're great blades. They're great budget blades. Do I prefer the nicer Spydercos like the PM2, the Enduras? Yeah, I do. Better steel, better build quality, but these are still a great option for a budget Spyderco. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure and like and subscribe, like I said. Keep up with the content. We're doing knife reviews almost every week here, so I really enjoy doing this. And so let me know what you guys want to see. Let me know what you think of the Spyderco Tenacious, and have a good one. We'll see you in the next video.